Hello, friends, and welcome to the Cinemondo podcast, where we talk about movies and movie stars. And one of
Blonde. It's about
like,
me. Blonde.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Movie stars and upcoming movies. And this is an upcoming movie about a very famous movie star.
Probably the most famous blonde ever.
Yes.
And a really interesting character, too. I think there's a lot of people that think of her in a certain way, but she actually wasn't that way. She was a different way.
Right.
She was kind of one of the first of the sort of blonde bombshells that was sort of played a kind of ditzy, airheady kind of. I mean, when you first see her in films like The Asphalt Jungle, which is an incredible movie, and her character in that is so tragic, but she just plays a bubblehead in that. You know, Uncle Lon, am I still going on my vacation? You know, even though he's about to,
Yeah.
But she was a lot more complicated than people realize, I think. And she there was a lot of sadness in her life, and that character that she played probably haunted her. You know, like when a person gets typecast, you always hear about that. You always hear that an actor who spent their life trying to become an actor gets pigeonholed into one type of character that they don't like playing. You know, that's a sort of a sad thing.
And she wasn't really acknowledged for how good an actor she actually was.
Yeah.
You know, they just kind of thought, oh, she's just that,
Right.
But she actually was like really talented, and she really wanted to do more than just the bubblehead. So it is kind of sad in a way. I mean, it's not like she's a sad person necessarily, but she wasn't the bubblehead in real life that she played on screen.
And we're obviously talking about Marilyn Monroe, and the film is called Blonde, and it's directed by Andrew Dominik, who did that really good Western called The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford.
Yeah, and we covered that in an unseen episode.
Yes.
If you guys want to check that out.
It's a really interesting film. And he directed some episodes of Mindhunter, the David Fincher thing, and he did something called Chopper, which is kind of an older New Zealand film, which is kind of a cult classic with Russell Crowe, I believe. So, so good hands, and Ana de Armas plays Norma Jean, and so, and she's a beautiful actress, and so it'll be interesting to see her in this trailer playing. Yeah, of course. But before we actually see the trailer, let's just talk real briefly about our membership program. $2.99 a month, you get all kinds of good things. Here they are: emojis, shout outs, replies, badges. $4.99, you get to request a video and we'll do a shout out to you. We also have a Slack channel that we're really getting into, and so it's a great community for everybody, the fans and us, to sort of talk about movies or whatever. So think about it: $2.99 or $4.99.
It's great.
There we go.
Okay.
All right, let's check out the trailer for the film Blonde.
Okay, I have not seen this. Here we go.
I haven't seen this trailer either. Ready?
Yep.
And action.
Miss Monroe, it's time.
A kiss on the hand.
How'd you get your start?
Maybe.
What start?
In movies.
Quite continental. But diamonds are a girl's best friend.
I guess I was discovered.
Men broke home as girls.
I know you're supposed to get used to it.
And we all lose our charms in the end.
But I just can't.
Square cut or pear shape.
I played Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn Monroe. I can't face doing another scene with Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn doesn't exist. When I come out of my dressing room, I'm Norma Jean. I'm still her when the camera's rolling. Marilyn Monroe only exists on the screen.
Well, that looks pretty good, actually.
Yeah, looks really sad. You know, I love
Yeah.
that copy line, known by everyone, seen by no one. That was
Yeah.
That's a great line because you feel like she was known. Like it's that sort of thing where the persona was bigger than the person, and she just couldn't get out of that. And that would just
or the dialogue line, you know, I'm sick of playing with Marilyn Monroe, you know, like a scene with Marilyn Monroe. So it captures the sadness of her. And that's what we think of. When we think about Marilyn Monroe, we see her, you know, in Some Like It Hot and Niagara and all these films. You just see how she just pops off the screen.
Yeah.
But then you also just know how the sad life she led. And how you feel just so sorry that that's what happened to her, you know. And, so
she was also kind of an intellectual as well. People kind of laugh at that idea, but you know, there's a lot of candid photographs of her where you see her reading a book, like she's holding a book, and then you know, if you zoom in on the photograph and look at the book, she's not just reading trashy books; she was reading some heavy intellectual stuff. And I mean, I don't think it was a prop. You know, I don't think she was just trying to portray a brainy person, you know what I mean, in candid photographs. I think she really read books, and I think she was, you know, educated and wanted to do more than just sing "Happy Birthday, Mr. President" in the sexy voice and be seen as this sort of sex kitten thing wrapped in furs and diamonds. And it's like one of the very saddest, one of the first, I guess, of. There were, I'm sure, a lot more, but this was a real public version of that kind of fake persona. And it wasn't even her real name. She wasn't Marilyn Monroe. She was, you know, Norma Jean, and came from a, you know, troubled childhood and all that kind of stuff, and just happened to be very beautiful and charismatic. And unfortunately, that could be a curse with some people, you know?
Yeah, well, but you know, it's granted, like I'm watching this movie, I'm thinking we're not really seeing anything new. They were totally in the trailer was all about recreating these famous Marilyn Monroe moments. I mean, we saw the beautiful recreations, very faithful, and she looks stunning. She looks so much like Marilyn Monroe. It's like really well done. And then to take that and then kind of invert it to who she really was, well, we still didn't really get to see much of that in the trailer. Like I still feel like I was seeing a lot of recreations of Marilyn Monroe famous moments, which I'm hoping we see those, and then they kind of turn the camera a little off, and we're going to see more about the truth of what was happening. You know, which you got a little bit of that where she was kind of like, you know, looking depressed before she did the big, you know, production number.
Yeah,
she had such a public. Even her private life was public. I mean, she married Joe DiMaggio. Yeah. She married Arthur Miller. I mean, these were huge. You know, men, you know, famous people of that day. So it was like the Beatles. You know, the Beatles couldn't get away from that stuff, and so couldn't she? You know, the press and all that. And so it's fascinating.
The interesting thing, I've actually I've worked on films most of my life, and one of the things that's interesting, a lot of times I'll get to know people who are famous, and I've talked to people who are famous, like very famous, and one of the things that comes up when you talk about that, because I'm fascinated by the idea of celebrity. I mean, I'm not like ooh, celebrities, but you know what I mean? Like the concept of celebrity is fascinating because it's such a different way of life. The way that our lives are is completely different from the way Keanu Reeves' life is. You know what I mean? And especially someone like Marilyn Monroe, who is known for being someone she really wasn't. And when people saw her in public, they probably expected her to be a certain way, and she wasn't, you know, or when the people got to know her or got to be friends with her or, you know, relationships with her, they probably expected, oh, she's going to be this sexy, you know.
Sex pot the whole time.
Well,
it's like when people meet comedians, they expect them to always be funny, you know, and they're not, you know, always
But one thing about some people who get into acting, the reason they get into acting is because they're uncomfortable with who they really are. And you know these actors, you know that you can spot them a mile away, the type of actor who gets into acting because they want to escape from who they are.
Right.
And unfortunately, when people do that and then get famous, then their attempt to get away from themselves backfires, and it has the opposite effect. Suddenly you're famous. Suddenly you are being observed and scrutinized and followed by paparazzi everywhere. You don't have your life anymore. You don't have your private life. And that life that you wanted to escape from you've put yourself into this situation that is the opposite of what you wanted. And I think
now
so
you're
many
being seen
actors
for who you aren't.
right.
You're famous for someone you're not. And that
Then
would be the
people
hard
publish
part.
pictures of you coming out of the grocery store, and they're like, "Oh my God, look at her! She
Look how
looks like a
bad she
regular
looks."
person. She looks
Right.
bad.
Right.
She's not wearing her makeup and her earrings and her pearls. It's like she's coming out of a grocery store. Oh my God, the outrage!"
Yeah.
And that is a heavy thing, because I think unfortunately there's a lot of people who follow celebrities and stuff and who worship celebrities, and they see those photographs and they're like, "Oh my God, she looks terrible. She's not what I thought she was." And it's sad, but some people have to live like that. They can't, people won't let them alone.
Well, Marilyn Monroe is a whole other kind of thing.
Yeah.
She was not only just famous, she was an icon, like not even like a real person anymore. She was like a brand. She was like a logo. And also the other thing that's interesting about this movie, it's rated NC-17, which I can't remember the last time a movie was rated NC-17.
Yeah.
Like, that just seems weird. And it's a Netflix movie, which seems why are there even ratings? But so they didn't show anything that would give away why this is rated NC-17. We didn't see any sort of, sexual situations at all in this. We saw some people sitting around talking, but so they aren't giving that away either. And we have a poster. We can see. So it's sort of what you would expect.
Yeah.
I'm a little disappointed that it's not black and white, honestly. I mean, I just sort of I loved the stuff in the beginning that was all black and white. It just looks so gorgeous and amazing. Yeah. But I know why they didn't, because they're like, well, then it looks like a documentary. Okay, we'll make it color. I can hear
the color looked like vintage color. There was a couple of shots that had her backlit. There were beautiful shots that were just had that kind of Kodachrome look, that 60s style.
Right.
I think that the rating is going to probably draw people in to wonder, we're going to see Marilyn like we haven't seen her before. And then just to see how this actress pulls off Marilyn, which looks like she's doing a great job. I mean,
she's a very good actress. I like her in everything.
It's hard to tell.
She can really change her look. And there's been some quibbling about the NC-17. Like Ana de Armas doesn't feel it should be an NC-17. It should be an R.
It could have something to do with the fact that Marilyn's such an icon that they don't even want to go near anything that even in any way goes past a certain line. You're allowed to go a certain way with Marilyn, but not beyond. So if you go beyond, maybe it's just people are a lot more sensitive in the rating sport about that. I don't know.
Because there are some sort of famous nude photographs of Marilyn. They might go into that I think she tried later in her career tried to keep those secret, and it was maybe there's a story about how that was used. Those photographs were used as blackmail, and then so you
but
might
that wouldn't give you an NC-17. I mean.
Naked people,
it's like, well, in the 70s, you could see a naked person in an R-rated, certainly R-rated or even PG-13, but now it's like gotten so kind of the other way that if we're going to show a lot of nudity, it's got to be NC-17, which is odd, but that's kind of the way it's been.
I don't get that. I'm not getting that.
I know.
No, because I'm seeing worse stuff in the boys than I've seen in NC-17 movies.
If you go back to John Hughes films in the 80s, like those are PG movies, but you're like there's there's fuck and there's all kinds of crazy like, man, that's a little harsh.
Language.
But I'm just saying that
the
standards have been, I don't know, somewhat changed a bit. That's just my feeling. So we'll see. But I think it looks like it's well made. I like Ana de Armas. I'm always interested in Marilyn Monroe stuff. It's sort of like, I find her fascinating.
I wish they showed a little more of something more, but what they're kind of selling, which is her, who she really was. I feel like I was just seeing a lot of Marilyn Monroe recreations. I didn't see a lot of Norma Jean in that. There was a couple, but they were even the Norma Jean that was the icon photo shoot, or they were the Norma Jean that was like the interview or whatever. It's like I'm hoping they'll get more into that. I mean, I want to see Marilyn Monroe, of course, but I'm hoping they go a lot deeper than the trailer sort of gives away.
I've seen the Elvis movie a few times, and I kind of compare it because those two are on that level, and that brought a lot of interesting things. But it was Baz Luhrmann, so it was kind of crazy, very stylized. So we'll see how this kind of compares to that.
Right.
Elvis and Marilyn are very similar icon wise.
They are.
It's like the idea of they're larger than life. They're kind of deified in some ways, and that song that Elton John wrote and everything. And but Marilyn, one thing I always like to stress about Marilyn Monroe is that she was a really good actress.
Yeah,
and those ditzy blondie kind of characters that she played, she was really good at that, and that's not easy. You know, it's not easy to play. You know, the character that she played. I always go back to Asphalt Jungle. The character that she played in that was you know, obviously very beautiful young girl who was living with this older rich man because he was giving her stuff, and she was kind of this opportunistic gold digger type, and I guess that was her stereotype.
Yeah.
But she does it so well in that movie. There's a line between doing it in a sort of a comical way and doing it in a way that's almost heartbreaking. When you see her, and there's a scene where the old guy looks at her and he says, you're going to have a lot of trips. You know, in other words, you're so beautiful and so gullible. You're going to get dragged around. You're going to get taken in by everything. You know, every guy that comes along, you're going to fall for him, you know. And she does that so well that it's not who she was. She's acting.
Yep. It was a character. It was written down.
Yeah.
So there's that. So when does this come out, Mark? Do we know?
September 28th. So, end of the month.
2 weeks away. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
cool. All right.
So that's coming to Netflix. Blonde looks like, you know, classic Hollywood story, you know.
Looks pretty good.
Yeah, it does.
So we'll check it out.
Well done.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Appreciate it. Bye, everybody.